Hi, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and welcome if this is your first time. Welcome to Self-Love Synergy. Um, First of all, I'd like to thank all of my subscribers. I'm very excited that I'm building a little community. I am very happy. I'm very happy about it because, I do think outside the box. Actually, I think outside the brain. I think with the heart. Um, yeah, when I was speaking, if you've seen a previous video, I was speaking on intelligence and how our ancients, when they learned, they would have to feel the words coming from the teacher, and then they would apply it in a life experience, or they would experience what the teacher was saying also. Therefore, it would become a knowing within them. And, I was thinking about my spiritual awakening, and I'm like, that's kind of what I did, because I would hear something from someone and I'd be like, that's interesting. And then I would think about it, from my own understandings of things, and I would recall, an experience in my life where it applied. And I'm like, yeah, that's what all that's all about. And I would get knowings inside myself. Um, and something like that happened today. I was watching a video, and this lady said that the ego death is equal to being hung on the cross like Jesus Christ. And I was like, now that's interesting. Very interesting. Because I tried getting saved. Well, I did get saved a couple of times. And the first time when I tried getting saved, well, when she said hung on the cross, I automatically thought of getting saved. And then I thought, oh, putting an ego death is like the equivalent of getting saved at church. And I'm like, no wonder why I couldn't get saved before. Because I was in my ego and I couldn't forgive myself for my sins. And because after I got saved, my grandfather said, how does it feel, to have your name written in the book of life? And I was like, well, I don't forgive myself, Grandpa. What happens if I don't forgive myself? He's like, you don't forgive it, but Jesus forgave you. And I'm like, I know, yeah, but I don't forgive myself. And he's like, what do you mean? But Jesus forgave you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the reason why I didn't forgive myself was because at that time when I got saved, I was drinking a lot. And, well, what happened was my grandfather was preaching down the street from my home because it just happened this little bit of time. He usually preached out in the country, which was like an hour away, and then went to his house, and then another half hour to the church, so it was like an hour and a half away. But he was right down the street this day, and my father was sick in the hospital, and I thought if I went and got saved, then that would save my dad in a way. And so I also thought that if I got saved, that as soon as I got saved, I wouldn't want alcohol anymore, and like all my cravings would go away. That didn't happen. I wanted a beer right after he did it, and saved me. And that's why I was saying, well, because I thought, oh my goodness, it didn't go away. I still want to drink, like, oh, I'm a lost cause. I'm thinking, what's wrong with me, And so that's why I'm like, dang, and I couldn't forgive myself. And I was really for real. What about if I can't forgive myself? But now, look at me, I'm all talking in a whisper. I hope you can hear me. But, but now that I'm older, I understand that whenever you're in victim mode, when you're feeling sorry for yourself, when you have no forgiveness of yourself, you're in your ego. Yeah. I think of it as the hidden ego, because I thought the ego was always supposed to be loud and obnoxious and super, confident, but, not really, like really insecure, but acting like they're confident kind of thing. I didn't know the ego could be like Little Miss Victim. Anyway, so, what was I saying that for? Oh, because I connected that with the ego. And I was like, that is so interesting. When I heard the lady say that the ego death is equivalent to getting saved. And I'm like, anyway, like I said, I was like, oh, no wonder why I couldn't get saved. So yeah, like I just understand a whole lot of things. And I think I'm whispering because, like it was in the 1970s when I was a little girl, growing up around the church and everything. And they they scared me a lot. I thought the world was going to end in the year 2000. But one thing too, they said, in end times, they're going to be telling you about love and saying, love, 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 love. And they're going to take you away from God. And they're going to be talking this love and light stuff. Don't fall for it, Caleb. Don't fall for it. And I'd be like, scared out my mind, right? So when I was going through this spiritual awakening, I was like, okay, let me check, the Bible, whatever. Not whatever, but, to get confirmation. And sure enough, I got confirmation. Like what I know as God, as living one vibrational energy with all, guaranteed, it is the truth. My truth. I ain't worried about, I'm not talking new age or anything, but we got to get into that, because the reason why I want to tell the world about it, and especially the Christians and, religious folks, just in case you were afraid, like I was afraid. Let's not be afraid. Well, or I'm not going to be afraid, because like I've said in another video before too, is, what if we human beings was a form of artificial intelligence, but only being natural intelligence, and we're wireless, being powered by the sun. In other words, what if human beings were technology? I thought that early on, like when I was first awakening. And lo and behold, I come across something called chakra systems. Chakras. There's 7 chakras. And it's like a technology for light. So that could mean, Jesus Christ is the light. Jesus Christ could become flowing through us like technology if we did it right. Getting saved. So in my mind, how I'm gonna do it is, you got to get saved. So you got to drop the ego, because I'm already saved. I've already been saved a few times. So, but now, anyway, I just had a thought, like, religion couldn't save me, but Jesus did. Whenever I'm going to title this, I don't know. But, so, yeah, you got to get saved, right? But I don't believe in really killing the ego. I think the ego didn't know. The ego didn't know that we are living one vibrational energy. The ego thought I was what was on my birth certificate, That's what the ego called himself, and then all the other titles I had in life, The ego had no idea that we was love. We was love, me and the ego. Because the ego is the individuality of who we are. And we do want to be individuals. See, this is the thing. Understanding it the way that I understand things is, we get our individuality. Because in the ancient times, it was a community, but I don't think that people got to be individuals. Everyone had to be like clones. Well, not clones. It was family. Everybody just had to, do what the family elders said for you to do. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know though. You know, maybe ancient times, maybe it was a different way. But that's how it grew up, how I grew up in my family kind of thing. You know, like everybody did what grandma and grandpa wanted them to do. We're all part of the family. And, you know, you went with the family. You did what the family wanted you to do. So, but with the introduction of Jesus Christ, we get our individualities as long as we rise up the Christ within us. I know probably religious folks like, oh no, you talking that Christ consciousness? Yes, I am. Because at church, when you get saved, they say you have a renewed mind. Same thing, my mind got renewed. I'm seeing things from the inside out. And I'm seeing it from energy. So like I was saying, the ego didn't know any better. So we can evolve the ego into the ally. Now remember, the ego, for me, from Wayne Dyer, edging God out, ego. Ally, allowing love in, allow, ally. So how do we do that? Well, we're not going to be in the egoic state of mind, which is selfish, basically, you know. And you're only selfish because you're not living one vibrational with the all. But again, you didn't know you're living one vibrational energy. So you just know, you don't know. You know, you got to come to this world and survive. And, you know, you live and you die. That's about all you know. But I'm just saying, we're energy, so we don't die, we transform. That's a whole nother, you know, topic. But let's stay on this one. So, after after you, like, in order to evolve the ego, you have to learn how to self-soothe, basically. Because when we're maturing, when you were a child, your mama and your daddy had to take care of you. You know, whenever you had you hurt or something bad happened to you, you can go and tell your mom and dad, and they could help take care of it. Well, when you get to be an adult, you can't really do that. That's, you know, and so you want to stay. And I'm saying this because you have to stay out of that victim mentality, because that's the ego too. So you have to understand that you got to know how to talk to yourself. You really do. You got to be your own best friend. You got to be your ideal partner to yourself. The new single is married. Marry yourself up with the ally, the perfect partner for you. So the ally always talk, you know, the ego would be sitting up there saying, oh, look at you, you ain't no good, whatever, look at you still craving that alcohol or whatever, you know, always saying things that, you know, dang, tough love. Let's get into unconditional love with the ally, you know, like, wow, you really are, I'm so happy that you're thankful for today. I'm so happy that you have a smile on your face. You look lovely today. You know, don't worry about that. Don't stress about that. You know, stressing is the ego. This is the ally. We're going to take care of each other. You know what I mean? Like, that's self-soothing. You have to know how to calm yourself down and always be, you know, smooth, going with the flow, you know, a really nice temperament, you know, temperance. I think that's a word. You know, have some of that. Understanding your role is to just always make yourself feel good and loved. That's nobody else's job but yours. You and your perfect partner. And if you do end up, you know, going and actually becoming in a relationship with someone else, you help him or her find their perfect partner within them too. And so you talk to them like how you started to talk to you, through unconditional love. Everything is always going to work out. Love, when we are living one vibrational energy with the all, then we got the all ready to serve us and to back us. Everything's going to be just fine. Everything is going to be just fine. We have creativity. That's another thing. I used to wonder why we have hunger. Like, why do we have hunger? Well, to have food, to fuel us. And, that's another thing. We think that we're getting vitamins and nutrients from foods, which we are. However, when you get real deep into it, you know what food actually has? Energy. Energy. There's such things as living foods, foods that are alive, whole foods, like fruits and vegetables. Those are alive. I remember when I first started looking at foods and nutrition, I came across something that said sun-kissed foods. And it says when God actually cooks the foods, is when the food falls from the tree after it's ripe. That means that it got cooked, from God, and then you eat it like that. It was about raw foods. There's something called raw foods. That's interesting. We're going to get into all of that. Well, I hope to get into all of that because it's time to heal. What do you think? I think so. And I think there's an urgency to it. It's time for us to really heal, and I know a great way to heal that it won't cost you a whole lot of money. Or, I did all this research, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to share with you, different techniques to do, like breathing, meditation. I mean, those things don't cost no money, drinking more water, eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, making smoothies, drinking herbal teas. Like, that's not real expensive, but you can add that into your life, taking that moment to just calm down, reflex, and just everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. This is very, very important. This will heal. Heal not only you, heal the world. Heal our nature too. That's why I want to share this message. And I don't want anyone to be afraid and think, oh, you're talking this new age, I'm talking it all. But only because it all stems from the truth. I'm talking my perspective, my real perspective of the truth. Okay, I can't say it's the Holy Bible truth, like Grail, because I don't know everything. I don't know the unseen. All I know is what we know, but I know it in a different perspective. That makes a whole lot of sense. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. What else? I think that's about all for tonight. I don't want to go on and on, but I hope that you enjoyed my conversation tonight, and I hope you come back for more. And if you could like or subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. It'll really help me out on that road, or the life of abundance, well-being, and prosperity for all. We all get to have it. We really, really do. I'm going to tell you all my secrets. I'm going to tell you everything I know. And I'm going to just, hopefully, you will not be afraid. You'll be like, she makes so much sense. And all I'm telling you is to love yourself and to love each other. Drop the judgments, drop the prejudices, evolve the ego. Respect nature. That's it. But I will explain some stuff that seems like, what could be going on. We can explore some things or whatever, because, I got to make it exciting. This is really finances, love and relationships, beauty, health and beauty, natural products, like everything. All right, we're gonna share it. I'm gonna share it all with you, and yeah. So But tonight, think about, proposing to that ego, proposing to evolve into the ally, and let's get married. Anyway, I hope that you have a wonderful evening, because you know why? If you have a wonderful evening, I'm gonna have one too.